Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will rearrange the way you see every face that smiles at you. You've been sold a comforting lie, the lie that most people like you, the lie that you are surrounded by allies, well-wishers, supporters silently rooting for your rise. Strip that illusion away. Burn it, because the truth is colder, sharper, and far more useful. Most people do not love you. Most do not even like you. And a quiet number of them, more than you suspect, secretly resent you. They hide it well. They hide it behind handshakes, behind compliments, behind laughter that dies the moment you leave the room. This is not paranoia. This is pattern recognition. Human beings are wired for comparison, not affection. Every time you walk taller, somebody shrinks. Every time you win, somebody silently loses. Every time you grow, somebody you trusted feels the gap widen and resents you for it. Machiavelli understood this 5 centuries ago, and nothing about human nature has changed since. The masks are better now, the smiles are sharper, but the engine underneath is the same. Envy, comparison, quiet contempt. The moment you accept this, something shifts in you. You stop performing for approval. You stop bleeding for people who would not bleed for you. You stop confusing politeness with loyalty. You start seeing the world as it is, a marketplace of interests, dressed up as a circle of friends. This video is not here to comfort you. It's here to wake you up, to prepare you. Because once you understand how deep the quiet hatred runs, you stop being a target and start becoming untouchable. Stay with me now. Every word from here forward is a weapon, and by the end, the weapon will be you. The smiling mask. Look closer at the people around you. Look past the words, past the grin, past the warm handshake that lingers a second too long. Most of what you call kindness is choreography, a performance refined since childhood, a mask polished by social survival. People do not show you who they are. They show you who they need you to think they are. That is the first law of the smiling mask. The colleague who praises your work in front of others, then quietly questions your competence in private. The friend who celebrates your win with a toast, then exhales relief when you stumble. The relative who calls you inspiring, while secretly hoping you fall back to their level. None of this is rare. All of it is human. Machiavelli wrote that men are quick to flatter and slow to confront, because flattery costs them nothing and honesty costs them everything. So they smile, they nod, they agree. And underneath that mask, calculations run silently. What can I gain from him? What can I take? What can I avoid losing? You were taught to take people at their word. Unlearn that. Words are the cheapest currency on earth. Anyone can spend them. Watch behavior instead. Watch what people do when you're not useful. Watch who shows up when you're not winning. Watch whose tone shifts the moment your name carries weight. The mask always slips, but only if you're patient enough to wait for it. The man who learns to read masks stops being deceived by them. He stops mistaking warmth for loyalty. He stops bleeding gratitude onto people who feel nothing back. And slowly, quietly, he becomes something rare in this world. A man who sees clearly. A man who can no longer be played. The loyalty illusion. Loyalty is the most romanticized lie in human relationships. You were raised on stories of unbreakable friendship, unconditional love, ride-or-die brotherhood. Beautiful stories. Useful for children. Dangerous for men. Because in the real world, loyalty is rarely a virtue, it is a transaction. A silent contract built on usefulness. The moment you stop being useful, watch how fast the contract dissolves. Machiavelli said it plainly. Men will betray, abandon, and forget you the second their interest shifts. Not because they are evil, because they are human. Self-interest is the gravity of the human soul. everything bends toward it. The friend who stood beside you when you were broke disappears when you rise, because the dynamic no longer flatters him. The partner who promised forever recalculates the moment your value drops. The mentor who praised your hunger grows cold when your hunger surpasses his. None of this is personal. All of it is pattern. The mistake most men make is mistaking proximity for loyalty. They confuse years for trust. They confuse blood for allegiance. They confuse memories for present-day intentions. But loyalty is not measured by how long someone has stayed. It is measured by what they do the moment staying becomes inconvenient. Test people quietly. Notice who shows up when there is nothing to gain. Notice who defends your name in rooms you'll never enter. Notice who celebrates your win without flinching. Those are rare men. Treat them like rare metal. The rest? Treat them politely, distantly, strategically, but never sentimentally. The untouchable man does not waste devotion on people who would replace him in a week. He gives loyalty like a king gives gold, sparingly, deliberately, and only to those who have proven they can be trusted with it. The threat of your existence. Understand this, because it will reframe every strange reaction you've ever received from people who had no reason to dislike you. They don't hate you. They hate what your existence forces them to feel. Your discipline insults their laziness. Your silence exposes their noise. Your ambition humiliates their stagnation. Your calm makes their chaos look like a choice. You become a mirror, and most people cannot stand their own reflection, so they break the mirror instead. This is why men who are doing nothing wrong still attract quiet enemies. You walk into a room sharper than the rest, and the room shifts. You stop drinking, and the drinkers grow uncomfortable. You start training, and the soft men start mocking. You build something real, and the dreamers who never started feel attacked by your follow-through. Nothing was said. Nothing was done. Your existence was the offense. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He wrote that the man who improves himself in a world of comfort becomes a quiet accusation against everyone who refused to. The crowd does not punish you for being bad. The crowd punishes you for being better than they were willing to become. Accept this, and a strange peace settles in. You stop apologizing for your standards. You stop dimming your light to keep the dim comfortable. You stop explaining your discipline to people who never planned to develop any. You realize the resentment was never about your behavior. It was about their reflection. From that moment forward, every cold stare, every backhanded comment, every quiet exclusion becomes proof of your trajectory, not evidence against it. The hatred is not a wound. It is a receipt confirming you have stepped above the gravity that holds them down. Wear it like armor, and keep climbing. The silent betrayals. The deepest cuts never come from strangers. Strangers cannot reach you. Strangers do not know your weaknesses, your wounds, your private fears. The deepest cuts come from inside the wall, from the people you handed the keys to. Family, lovers, lifelong friends, the ones who hugged you at funerals and laughed at your wedding. These are the only people positioned to truly damage you, because these are the only people you stopped guarding yourself against. Machiavelli warned that the wise prince fears his court more than his enemies, because enemies attack the gate while the court attacks the throne. Apply that to your life. The brother who quietly resents your rise, the partner who smiles while documenting your weaknesses, the best friend who repeats your secrets the moment you leave the room. Betrayal rarely arrives as a sword. It arrives as a whisper, a leaked detail, a subtle sabotage, a name left out of a recommendation, a door quietly closed behind your back. By the time you notice, the damage is already done, and the smile is still on their face. Learn to read the signals before the strike. Watch who flinches when you share good news. Watch who becomes quieter the louder your wins get. Watch who suddenly takes interest in your plans, your numbers, your weak points. Information is the currency of betrayal, and most men hand it out like candy to anyone who calls them brother. Stop. Tighten the gate. Share less. Reveal slower. Let people earn access to your inner life, the way kings made men earn access to court. Through years, through tests, through proven loyalty under pressure. The untouchable man is not paranoid. He is selective. And selectivity is the firewall that keeps the silent betrayals from ever reaching him. The power of indifference. Now we step into the first true weapon of the untouchable man. Indifference. Not coldness for the sake of cruelty. Not bitterness dressed up as strength. A deeper thing. A quiet surgical detachment from outcomes you cannot control and people who were never going to choose you anyway. The world rewards the man who needs nothing from it. Remember that. Need is leverage. The moment people sense you need their approval, their validation, their attention, they own a piece of you. They will use it, consciously or not. The man who stops needing becomes ungovernable. He cannot be flattered into compliance. He cannot be shamed into smallness. He cannot be baited into reactions that expose his hand. He simply moves, calm, measured, untouched. Watch how this terrifies people. The world has trained itself to manipulate emotional men, through guilt, through praise, through fear, through outrage. When you stop responding to those levers, the levers break in their hands. They will test you. They will provoke you. They will whisper, exclude, undermine. And when none of it lands, something shifts. They begin to respect you, even when they don't like you, because indifference is the one thing manipulators cannot manipulate. Machiavelli understood that the prince who governs his own emotions governs every room he enters. Master your reactions, and you master the negotiation before a word is spoken. This does not mean you feel nothing. It means you no longer bleed in public. Your emotions become private property, guarded, governed, reserved for those who earned access. To the rest of the world, you become unreadable, and the unreadable man is the unbreakable man. He does not chase. He does not beg. He does not explain. He simply walks his path, and the world quietly bends around him. The Machiavellian mind. It is time to upgrade the machine between your ears. Most men move through life half asleep, reacting to words, swayed by tone, seduced by surface. The Machiavellian mind operates on a different frequency. It does not hear what people say. It hears what people want. Every sentence is a clue. Every favor is a test. Every compliment is a probe. Train yourself to ask one quiet question before responding to anything. What does this person stand to gain? That single question will rewire your entire perception of human behavior. Suddenly, the over-friendly colleague becomes legible. The sudden phone call from a forgotten friend reveals its real shape. The flattery that arrived right before the request stops fooling you. You stop processing people emotionally and start processing them strategically. This is not cynicism. This is clarity. Machiavelli taught that the wise man studies men the way a general studies terrain, patiently, unsentimentally, without flattering himself about what he sees. Read motives, not words. Read patterns, not promises. A man's history with others is his future with you. Believe behavior. Distrust performance. Trust slow proof, not loud assurance. Watch the small moments, how he treats waiters, how he speaks of absent friends, how he reacts when you withhold attention. Those moments leak more truth than 1,000 polished speeches. And then go further. Study yourself with the same cold lens. What do you signal? What hand do you show? What weaknesses do you leak when you speak too freely, too eagerly, too emotionally? The Machiavellian mind audits itself first, because the man who can read himself becomes the man who cannot be read by others. From that quiet vantage point, clear-eyed, self-governed, strategically silent, you stop being moved by the game, and you start moving inside it. The cold transformation. Now comes the rebirth. The part most men never reach, because most men cannot stomach the silence required to forge it. The cold transformation does not happen in crowds. It happens alone, in quiet rooms, in disciplined mornings, in the long, unglamorous months where no one is watching, no one is clapping, and no one is coming to save you. This is where the untouchable man is built, brick by brick, in private. Start by cutting the noise. The endless conversations that lead nowhere. The friendships built on shared boredom. The relationships that drain more than they deliver. Trim ruthlessly. Your time is the only currency you cannot earn back, and most of yours is being spent on people who would forget your name in a year. Then rebuild your body. A weak body broadcasts a weak frame, and the world reads frames before it reads words. Train hard. Eat with intent. Sleep like it is a discipline, not a luxury. Then rebuild your mind. Read the men who shaped empires. Study power, history, psychology, strategy. Replace entertainment with education until your thinking becomes sharper than the average room you walk into. Then rebuild your speech. Speak less. Speak slower. Speak with weight. A man who chooses his words carefully is a man who has trained his mind to choose. And finally, rebuild your standards. Decide what you tolerate. Decide who gets access. Decide what behavior ends a relationship instantly. No debate, no second chance. Write these standards in stone inside you. This is the cold transformation. Quiet, lonely, relentless. The world will not understand it while it's happening. They will only notice the result. A man they can no longer manipulate, flatter, destabilize, or reach. A man who walks into rooms and changes their temperature without saying a word. The final awakening. So here is where it ends and where you begin. Everything you just heard was not designed to make you bitter. It was designed to make you aware. Aware that the smiles can lie. Aware that the loyalty can rent itself out. Aware that the closest seats hold the sharpest knives. Aware that your rise will cost you rooms you once thought were home. Good. Let it cost you. Because the man who survives that loss, eyes open, spine straight, heart unbroken, becomes something the world rarely produces and never forgets. Untouchable, not because he is cruel, not because he is cold for sport, but because he finally sees the game clearly and refuses to be a pawn inside it. You will walk differently after today. Slower, quieter, heavier in presence. People will sense it before they understand it. Some will be drawn to you, some will resent you for it. Both reactions confirm the same thing: you have changed. You have stepped out of the herd. And the herd never forgives the one who walks away calmly. So carry this with you. Build in silence. Trust selectively. Move strategically. Let your results speak in rooms your voice will never enter. Now, before you leave this video, do one thing for the man you are becoming. Drop a comment with this phrase. In your own words, locked in like an oath, I am the storm they never saw coming. Say it. Mean it. Let it live somewhere outside your head. Then hit that like button to sharpen this message for every man who needs it. Subscribe, because this channel is being built for men who refuse to stay asleep. And turn on notifications so the next weapon lands in your hands the moment it's forged. Now go. Become untouchable.